Hey fellow freelancers, Johnny5Live here, and in today's Anthem video, we're going to be showcasing all of the Interceptor abilities, what they do, how they look, what they combo well with, and what kind of builds you can create with the Interceptor. So if you're new to the game and thinking about jumping into an Interceptor Javelin, this is the video for you. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Alright, so before we jump in, I want to make a disclaimer that all of the skills and abilities you are about to see are from my time with the VIP demo. All abilities could be subject to change, so damage numbers and balance should be expected, but generally speaking, I believe the usage of abilities and their animations should remain roughly the same for launch. So let's get into it. The fantasy of the Interceptor is a fast-paced melee action ninja javelin. By far the best at melee, but comes equipped with a ton of ranged abilities. So if you're looking to make a shuriken throwing sniper build, that is possible too. What makes this javelin unique over all the others is its ability to triple jump, dash more rapidly, and is the only javelin in the game with no cooldown on their melee ability, meaning you can rapidly spam melee infinitely. The Interceptor's abilities are broken down into two sections: assault systems and strike systems. Don't worry, I will be showing off all these abilities, how they look, and what they do in a couple of minutes from now. First, it's important to mention some of these abilities are primers and others are detonators. Primers are able to coat the victim in status effects of the ability's element type. For example, Venom Bomb will coat the enemy in acid. You should also know that priming will not work against shielded targets, which is displayed in a blue bar over the enemy's head. Break that and you can prime away. Detonators are best used on primed targets, as they will give you a visual combo when executed properly. You can detonate off an ally's priming ability or set yourself up with a build allowing you to prime and detonate your own combos. All javelins receive their own unique effect when detonating or comboing off primed targets. The Interceptor's special combo effect gives them an aura of the element which was used to prime. For example, if the target was primed with ice from a Cryo Glaive, then detonating using bladed daggers, the Interceptor becomes ice and everything it melees becomes frozen. This aura effect will work with all four element types. Like all javelins, the Interceptor has a melee ability. Bladed daggers do kinetic damage, and what's worth mentioning again, bladed daggers is a detonator, which means you can combo off of any prime target, become that element with your class specific combo effect, then continue to go berserk, shredding enemies with an elemental melee attack. Assassin's Blade ultimate ability. This, in my opinion, is the most powerful ultimate ability in the game. This ultimate will turn you into an invincible killing machine. When casted, you will see two large bars on either side of the character indicating how long the effect will last for. If casted while flying, you can fly to a location to choose your landing spot. From there, you will not be able to fly again until the effect has worn off. While this ultimate does an insane amount of damage, it also has a ton of functionality. You could use it to fully heal yourself in dire moments and can repair downed allies. So if you are the last man standing on your team, you pop your ultimate and run around saving all downed allies without the threat of falling yourself. Support systems. All javelins have a third ability button which falls under the support systems. Each get only two to choose from. The Interceptor has target beacon. This marks the target, increasing all damage from all sources by 33%. This is potentially the strongest support ability in the game, as it allows you to destroy large enemies and bosses 33% faster. If a team focus fires on a marked target, it is essentially deleted. Be sure to mark bosses with this before popping your ultimate to ensure 33% more powerful ultimate flurry. Rally Cry. This ability will remove all debuffs and elemental statuses on yourself and nearby allies. This is particularly important against burning effects, as javelins are unable to fly while on fire. Popping this ability will quickly purge the fire and allow players to fly again. Okay, time to get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about the abilities. Let's start off by looking at the elemental effects that this javelin has access to. First thing that you may notice is that the Interceptor only has one blast ability and no fire abilities. I suppose a small javelin like this cannot afford to overheat with fire effects. However, this is made up for with the most most impact abilities of all javelins with a total of 6. While impact may not be great for priming targets, it can still detonate and has a very large damage output. The Interceptor also has the most acid abilities with only 2. That's right, acid is extremely rare as it is ultimately the best elemental effect because it weakens targets, increasing damage against them while also doing bonus damage to armored units. Interceptor also has 2 lightning abilities, one detonates, one primes, both great for cleaning packs of trash mobs since lightning does area of effect damage. So now that you have a general idea of the Interceptor, let's take a deeper dive into these abilities, starting with the assault systems. First up is Searching Glaive, a thrown gadget that seeks and destroys its targets. While this glaive can be thrown very far, it does have some weight. So when thrown long distances, you will experience a slight curve or drop off the further it travels. Best to aim slightly higher on far off targets. I found that this ability pairs really well with plasma stars, as these long range throwing stars can finish off the target if the Searching Glaive didn't quite do the job. It also pairs really well with long range assault rifle for a main weapon and a sniper rifle as a secondary weapon. This combination of abilities and weapons will turn you into a long range killing machine. So for those of you wondering if you could do sniper builds, long range builds on the Interceptor, it is possible. Venom Bomb, a thrown bomb that drenches the target area in acid for 5 seconds. This ability is a very powerful primer for group play. The lingering acid cloud means you can throw it before an enemy's shields are down, then break the shield. The lingering cloud will then still prime the target. It is also very clear to spot on the battlefield, so allies who enjoy a good combo will be keeping an eye out for your acid clouds. Because this ability is a large area of effect acid primer, it will be good at melting large groups of enemies, armored units, and even bosses. As acid weakens enemies' defenses, this ability is particularly good for melee builds as you can detonate acid with your bladed daggers, and the lingering cloud gives you time to pop your ultimate and get into to detonate before the cloud dissipates. In some of these clips you will see that I paired this ability up with Wraith Strike, a mid to long range attack which allowed me to have some follow-up damage before closing the distance to detonate the acid cloud with my bladed daggers melee attack. I found these paired well, but for a melee build, Detonating Strike or Venom Spray could give you more potential combo detonating opportunities. Cryo Glaive locks onto a target, then throws a freezing device. This is the Interceptor's only freezing ability, and it's also a primer. It is insanely powerful for closing the distance and controlling big crowds of enemies. Larger units at longer ranges, such as turrets, can be frozen in place as you make your way to them. Once reached and attacked with bladed daggers, a combo effect occurs, giving you the Frost Aura, which allows you to continually freeze the target in place. When thrown at a weaker enemy and followed up with bladed daggers, the Frost Aura allows you to jump from enemy to enemy, freezing entire groups, giving your allies around you an opportunity to shatter combo all enemies into a billion little ice cubes. This ability pairs well with Tempest Strike, a detonator which does massive damage and ensures your ability to shatter the target while it's frozen. In my footage you may see me pairing this ability with Detonating Strike, which does give me some bonus damage, but it's intended for use for large packs of enemies I want to blow up with electricity really quickly, making Cryo Glaive my single target killer or crowd controller when things get out of hand, then Detonating Strike for pure cleanup damage. Cluster Mine, a thrown gadget that deploys a bundle of explosive proximity mines. To me, this ability felt like the weakest out of them all. It's intended to sort of close choke points and do massive damage to clustered enemies. The reason I found this didn't work as well in practice though was because the mines do not spread out enough. They do not cause a large enough explosion, and they do not trigger unless directly touched. The AI in this game is too smart to waltz through the mines, and because the mines don't spread out very far, and the fact that the maps are so openly large, the enemies do not have a hard time finding a new path around your mines. Because these mines do not prime, detonate, or do much damage at all, I just couldn't find any ability in the strike system to pair well with here. For me, this ability is a hard pass until further tuned. Spark Dash. Interceptor gathers strength, then charges the target, damaging everything in its path, creates an aura effect combo. Spark Dash is amazing for closing the distance on a prime target to then become the element of said prime target. A great way to get into the thick of combat and do a bunch of damage, combined with your regular regular dash, it's also a great mobility skill for getting to cover. This ability comes with a few downsides, however. First being the way it functions isn't as fun as it potentially could have been. The ability does not dash to where your mouse is aiming at. Instead, it dashes in a horizontal line in the direction the interceptor is facing. This means you cannot look up and dash a target floating above you. You must fly up, switch to hover, turn to the target, then dash. This makes the ability much slower and clunky than its fantasy is intending it to play as. It has a bit too much positional setup to be enjoyed as a spark dash. To second my frustration with this ability being a detonator, the interceptor does not have any strike systems that prime from a distance, meaning you will only be dashing targets primed by your allies. In theory, this is fine if it didn't take you so long to position yourself for that hit that would successfully land. All that aside, I do feel this ability is fun, but could be better. I think it could be paired well with several other strike systems such as Detonating Strike and Venom Spray, as you can dash in, then use one of these as a primer, then bladed daggers to combo into an aura. Okay, that's all the assault systems. Let's take a closer look at the strike systems. Starting with Detonating Strike, a charged melee attack that causes the target to explode after 4 seconds and triggers a larger explosion on death. This has to be one of my favorite primer abilities for a close combat melee build. It is absolutely amazing for cleaning out large packs of weaker enemies. Fly in on a big group of enemies, find the weakest target, and hit them with this, allowing you to finish it with bladed daggers within the 4-second window. And kaboom! A massive explosion of electricity which decimates everything around it and gives you a lightning aura to top it off. Now that you're primed with lightning, you can do even more area damage to enemies around you, ensuring you clean up everything in sight. As mentioned earlier, I was pairing this up with Cryo Glaive, another primer ability but frost instead of lightning, which gave me some versatility in various melee combat situations. Then, because lightning and ice are both good at shredding shields, this combination means the beefier shielded enemies that melee usually struggles against are no longer a threat. I also think this would pair up nicely with Venom Bomb, as it coats a large area of enemies with weakening, allowing you to demolish them even faster, while also giving you something to deal with armored units. I also see this pairing up well with Spark Dash, allowing you to get in and out of combat more quickly. Plasma Star, a powerful charged throwing star that melts through armor. These are the shuriken throwing stars of the ninja fantasy. The cooldown comes equipped with 4 of these deadly bad boys, meaning you can rapidly throw them out all at once, or you can just use one to finish off an enemy. As stated in the ability description, they may melt through armored units, which means pairing this up with a Cryo Glaive or Searching Glaive is amazing for taking out enemies or turrets from a distance. I tried this out with Searching Glaive, Assault Rifle, and a Sniper to give me the sensation of a long-range throwing star ninja. It felt great and was totally viable. Love to see that the Interceptor can keep up with the Ranger in a long-distance DPS race. I do think these throwing stars would pair even better with Cryo Glaive though, as Cryo Glaive has a very long range to it as well, but freezes the target in place, allowing more opportunity to throw stars or snipe. On larger enemies who wield riot shields and have weak points on their backsides, the Interceptor could Cryo Glaive them in place, leap to the backside, and throw stars at their weak points, use bladed daggers to combo into an ice aura, to then go on freezing more targets with melee and throwing stars, giving this loadout a massive versatility between both ranged and close combat situations. Wraith Strike. Interceptor projects a ghost of itself and can warp up to 3 targets. At first, this ability feels as if it's intended for longer range interceptor builds. However, when used on a turret at long range, the ghost falls short before it reaches its destination, making this suitable for close and mid-range combat only. The bounce effect that warps up to 3 targets doesn't feel like it works half the time, meaning the targets likely need to be very close to each other, and the AI in this game is really good at spreading out, taking cover, and moving around. So in practice, this ability falls a little bit short, no pun intended. I love the fantasy of duplicating oneself to distract and deter enemies, but this ability doesn't quite satisfy me in the way that it should. I personally wish it in its place was some sort of distraction dummy duplicate which fights alongside you, drawing the attention of nearby enemies. Tempest Strike, a powerful close range melee strike that electrically charges the enemy or a combo. This description is actually rather misleading because this ability is in fact not electricity based, but rather impact damage based. It is, however, a detonator allowing you to combo off of prime targets while also doing massive damage that appears to be kinetically charged. I have to say this ability is a ton of fun as it feels impactful and is a sight of eye candy to experience. While really fun, it does have a few drawbacks. Let me explain. Since the Interceptor's melee ability Bladed Daggers are already a combo detonator, this ability only doubles up on the same effect, but gives a little bit more oomph while doing so. While it seems great, the downside is it is taking away from something that could be giving you even more combo opportunities such as Detonating Strike or Venom Spray. I would have also liked to pair this up with something like Detonating Strike, but they are unfortunately both strike systems. If Spark Dash was a primer instead of a detonator, that too would have been a really fun combination, which leaves you with Cryo Glaive and Venom Bomb as your only option to self-combo reliably, but both of those pair better with other abilities. This ability is a ton of fun. Unfortunately, it needs to do much more damage to warrant taking the place of something else, and the fact it is a detonator doesn't really matter since you are easily able to use Bladed Daggers instead. For me, this one needs to be brought back to the drawing table. If it were up to me, I would like to see it turned into a flame primer, as the Interceptor does not have a fire ability yet. And lastly, Venom Spray. Sprays a powerful cone of acid in front of the Interceptor. This ability is great for melee builds as it is increased damage towards armored units, weakens them, and primes them for Bladed Daggers to combo into an acid aura, turning you into a face-melting machine. Sounds awesome, right? Well, it also looks and feels like a super disappointment. A little cloud puffs out in front of you, almost no audio is heard, and the visuals are almost non-existent. It just doesn't feel fun to use. As mentioned previously, that doesn't make this ability useless. However, it is a weaker, less interesting version of Venom Bomb. Venom Bomb can also be used at close range and becomes a better version of Venom Spray. It can also be used at long range, whereas Venom Spray cannot. Venom Bomb, however, is an assault system, whereas Venom Spray is a strike system, meaning if you really want to shred armored units and weaken enemies, you could potentially pair these up together for some serious face-melting action. Both of these being primers means you can constantly have an acid aura about you, making you the melting machine. So Venom Spray is not completely useless and cannot be replaced by Venom Bomb, being in the opposite ability bracket. This also means it can be paired with Spark Dash nicely, allowing you to spray them, then finish them off by kicking them in the face at point blank, triggering a combo effect. Quite cool, actually. The ability has potential, but I would like to see the developers improve on the visual and audio effects to make it feel more impactful and more fun overall. Boom! There you have it, everyone. That's a complete breakdown of the Interceptor. If you found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining in any way, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more Anthem videos. If you guys want to hear my overall thoughts on the Interceptor Javelin, be sure to check out my next video where I play through the Anthem's first stronghold dungeon, the Tyrant Mines, on the hardest difficulty. I have a lot to say about this character that may surprise the heck out of you, so be sure to click the video that pops up here at the end, or go check out my channel's front page for plenty more Anthem content. Alright, fellow freelancers, if you guys enjoy the show, please check out my Patreon page to support it further, and that's going to do it for me here today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye now.